Welcome everyone. This is an instructional webinar for UTE version 3. So let's get started. UTE is a tool that allows you to build and administer scenario-based usability tests for websites and web applications. There are two main components to UTE. There's the UTE Manager and the UTE Runner. The UTE Manager is what you use to build the tests and to create reports. And the UTE Runner is the component that actually runs a test. This is the part of the test that a test participant will see. So when you purchase a license to UTE, you are given one copy of the UTE Manager and as many copies of the UTE Runner as you need. So let's start with the UTE Manager. We'll basically design a basic test and then run through it with the UTE Runner so you can get a basic overview of how it works. Like I said, we're looking at the UTE Manager. The basic process flow of the UTE Manager starts at the top and moves downward. You see the navigation controls on the left-hand side. So we'll start with creating a test plan, then we'll move down to developing a usability test, and then finally at the bottom is analyze and report. So let's start with the test plan. The first step in creating a usability test in UTE 3 is to create a test plan. The test plan is where you enter information about your test for documentation and reporting purposes. Remember that the information you include in your test plan is optional and it's static information. It will not affect your test. So the first thing you're asked for are the plan essentials. This is the information that must be entered in order to create a test plan report. So first it's going to ask you for the website name, the website address, the website purpose. This next box is going to ask if you want to include a text description as part of the test plan. And below it, it gives you a chance to edit the general plan text. So this basically allows you to preview and edit the text that will be in the test plan report. So you can enter specific information to your test plan from your test plan into the report. For example, your website name, if you want to include it in different places in your test plan, you can drag site name and drop it in the text. And whatever you have in the website name box in the test plan will show up here. So the next checkbox asks you if you want to begin the test plan report with the information gathered below. So it's asking if you want to include the rest of this information that you can enter in, starting with general information, the plan date, test plan date, estimated time in minutes to complete the test, expected number of participants, and then any notes that you want to include. Next you're asked the test date, the begin date and end date. These are just drop-down calendars. And then client information, the client organization and client contacts. Next is the test administration information, test administrators, testing locations, and test participants. Then this next section allows you to include pre- and post-test questions and proposed scenarios in your test plan. So this is the one area of the test plan that can be imported into the test development section. You can list your pre-test questions, proposed scenarios, and post-test questions, and then load them into your test in the task scenario section. So you can list proposed scenario here, and then in the test development section you can actually load them from here into the test. Or you can wait to list your scenarios until after you create them in the scenarios and tasks section and then load them from there into the test plan. The last thing you're asked for is computer system information. You're basically asked for your operating system and screen size and resolution. Now in the reporting section, you'll be able to create a customizable report that allows you to print and export your test plan. Great, so let's move down into the develop the usability test section. The UTE allows you to ask questions before and after every step in a usability test. You can ask pre- and post-test questions, pre and post scenario questions, pre and post scenario group questions, and I'll show you how to do each of those later on. Basically, the process for adding these questions to your test is the same for every type of question. The only thing that changes is the insertion point. For example, I'll show you how to add a pre-test question. So inside of UTE, there is a library of built-in questions. This is the rectangle box on the left-hand side. This same library will show up anywhere there is an option for you to add a question. Now, clicking on this drop-down arrow here, you will see that you can add your own questions to this library, so that they are made available to you as you create tests in the future. Now let's go back to the UTE built-in questions. Now the questions in the box on the right-hand side are ones that you want to include at this particular point in the test. So listed in the library, we have two question groups. We have the SUSE Satisfactory Survey and the Demographics Questions group. And by clicking on the plus sign, it'll show you each question inside of that group. So for this example, let's include the demographics question group into our test. So you highlight demographics, click on the arrow, and you'll see that it'll show up in the questions to ask box. So now I'll show you how to add your own question to the library. So let's select My Questions. Then to add a question group, you click on the plus sign, and that'll bring up a question group name. Let's just name this group Internet. And by hitting OK, it'll bring up the question creation box. Now let's title this particular question. This is just a sample question I'm going to create, titled Internet Use. And then the actual question text is the next box. Let's say, how often do you use Internet? Now, we have included rich text capabilities to make the question appear how we want it to. Let's highlight it. Let's make it a little bigger, and let's bold it. Okay. Now the answering options are radio button, check one match, check all match, typed entry long and typed entry short, and Likert. The Likert is a type of question used to ask participants feelings or attitudes about something, and they typically use a 5 or 7 point numbered horizontal scale with words at each end to clarify the meaning of the numbers. For this example, let's just use a radio button answer style. Let's create some answers. Let's see, every day. Let's say 3 to 5 times a week. 1 to 2 times a week. 1 to 2 times a month. Less than once a month, and never. And once again, we have rich text capabilities here. Allow you to change the font and the size. And you can choose another color. Now, if you want to require a response, you can check this box here, and that will not allow them to move along in the test unless they answer this question. If you have it unchecked, they'll have an option to skip the question. Now, if we want to preview what the question will look like, that's what this button down here in the bottom left-hand corner preview. By clicking on that, it'll show us exactly how the question looks. All right, let's say OK, and let's include this as a pretest question as well.